To keep an ever-growing franchise interesting, horror writers are often required to produce new plot points and revelations to keep the action feeling fresh. And one of the most common tropes is to take a heroic or otherwise good character and have them turn evil, even if it's only for a little bit. Sometimes this can work out nicely, and other times, well, I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 horror movie heroes that stupidly turned evil in the sequel. Number 8, Jill Valentine, Resident Evil Retribution. Paul W.S. Anderson's Resident Evil films aren't anywhere near as revered as the games that they're based on, but these schlocky action horror outings nevertheless do have their fair share of fans, myself included, who love them for the balls of inept chaos that they are. Now, while these films generally have little to do with the source material, with Anderson instead opting to create his own continuity, they do occasionally draw upon some plot points from the games, and one such beat is the mind-controlled Jill Valentine who betrays her friends. Before Jill even gets to take on the villain mantle proper in 2012's Retribution, the finale of Afterlife teased her as the next bad guy by showing her with the mind control device on her chest, despite the character not being seen or even mentioned for 2 full movies. Whereas Jill's heel turn was at least an emotional hit for Chris and the games, who otherwise thought that she died, Retribution uses this plot point simply as an excuse for more of Anderson's corny action set pieces, with no dramatic heft and barely an explanation in the narrative itself. Number 7, Ugh, Critters 4. While the sequels try to capitalize on the success of the Gremlins series, with the first Critters picture actually being in development before Gremlins started, a large part of the lack of enthusiasm towards the series is due to each of the sequels being exponentially worse than the last, with the campy creature feature making its way to outer space by the 4th outing. It's also Critters 4 where we see one of the strangest and most unnecessary villainous turns in horror cinema. That honor, of course, goes to Ugh, who for some reason is now called Counselor Tetra. In the first 2 films, Ugh is a shape-shifting alien bounty hunter who takes the form of a famous rock singer called Johnny Steele to blend in with the humans. His mission is to capture the eponymous monsters after they escape from an asteroid prison, but at the start of the 4th film, Ugh, after spending 2 movies violently exterminating the dangerous creatures, has inexplicably decided that these critters should now be protected. Though this character shift was intended to be a surprising twist to shock fans, this complete out-of-nowhere reworking was too ridiculous even for Critters 4. Number 6, Kirsty Cotton, HELLRAISER HELLSEEKER. First introduced in the original film, Kirsty Cotton was the personification of innocence who managed to thwart the sadistic Cenobites after duping her murderous uncle before then literally going to hell and back in the sequel. An icon of the franchise, Kirsty would later reappear in the 6th installment, HELLSEEKER, when the series had begun to truly run out of steam, to put it politely. Here she's married to Trevor, and is believed to have been killed in a car crash that left Trevor himself with amnesia and the prime suspect surrounding Kirsty's disappearance. Now, don't come to this guy's defense too quickly, as it transpires that Trevor was cheating on Kirsty and actually planned to kill her by tricking her into opening the hellish puzzle box. Before Kirsty's taken out by the Cenobites though, she manages to make one more deal with Pinhead to give him 5 souls in exchange for her own, and in a move that's kinda completely out of character, Kirsty murders Trevor's mistress and friend as well as the cheating husband himself out of revenge. While seeing the role of this iconic final girl reprised was a treat for Hellraiser fans, the character we got wasn't really the one we remembered. Number 5, Brahms the Doll, The Boy 2. Okay, so this one is a bit weird and I'm stretching the concept a little bit, but bear with me. Though The Boy was marketed as an Annabelle ripoff with a preppy looking doll of a boy called Brahms terrorizing a family who had come into his possession, the final film did have a more twisted layer to it. See, it turns out at the end of that film that the doll wasn't actually haunted or possessed at all, but the spooky goings-ons were the cause of the real Brahms, a human living in the walls of the house. So the doll itself, while not the hero per se, was just an innocent bystander and totally harmless and benign. But with Brahms now dead and gone, the sequel decided to retcon the events of the first movie in a big way. And The Boy 2 revealed that actually the doll was haunted the whole time and has been influencing people to kill for years. Number 4, Jamie Lloyd Halloween 4. Pretty much since the franchise started, Halloween was desperate to get rid of Michael Myers. After dropping him completely in the third movie, Michael made a grand return in the fourth flick, though the intention was to once again try and pass the torch of the series' villain moniker onto someone else. See, at the end of that sequel, Jamie Lloyd, the young niece of Michael Myers, is revealed to have inherited the family curse and killed her own foster mother while dressed in a Halloween costume. After spending the movie attempting to escape Michael's wrath, this last-minute reveal shows her totally disturbed from the experience and destined to continue the family business of murder and mayhem. And she was supposed to become the next villain, but because audiences groaned as soon as this twist was revealed, the writers quickly backpedaled with Halloween 5. This movie instantly dropped the idea of Jamie becoming the villain entirely, revealing that the mother had actually survived the stabbing at the end of the previous flick, and that while Jamie was indeed traumatized, she was in no danger of becoming a murderer herself. Number 3, Melanie, the babysitter killer queen. When innocent preteen Cole found himself at the mercy of his satanic babysitter and friends in outrageous Netflix horror comedy The Babysitter, his only ally was longtime friend and neighbor Melanie. Though she's not given much screen time in the flick, the help she provided to Cole was pivotal to his survival. And as we reunite with Cole and Melanie in the sequel, The Babysitter Killer Queen, the pair are as inseparable as ever, with Melanie being one of the only people willing to defend the ostracized Cole in the early parts of the movie. And when Cole reaches his lowest point, Melanie convinces him to go to a lake party with her and her friends. However, in a reveal that nobody was expecting, Melanie then viciously kills one of the partygoers before explaining that she, along with her friends, are part of the same blood cult which terrorized Cole 2 years earlier. From here on in, Cole must once again fight for survival. Given the intentionally schlocky aesthetic of the first film, viewers weren't expecting the second to be much different tonally. But when the reason for Melanie betraying her childhood friend is to get more social media followers, like seriously, that's the reason, Melanie's villain reveal was more eye-rolling than it was shocking. Number 2, Dr. Lawrence Gordon, Saw 3D. Alongside its selection of creatively grotesque traps, the Saw franchise is likewise known for its litany of deliciously convoluted twists. You'll need a map to make sense of the countless flashbacks and revelations that are used to tell the complex story of the Jigsaw Killer and his line of many apprentices, but things initially start out relatively simple. See, in the film that started it all, we watched as two men awoke to find themselves chained in a bathroom where they're forced to participate in one of Jigsaw's many games. And one of these victims was Lawrence Gordon, one of the doctors who treated the Jigsaw Killer, John Kramer, while he was in hospital. Gordon, of course, survived the test by amputating his own foot with a rusty saw, but that wasn't the last we'd see of him. Skip to Saw 3D and it's revealed that after escaping the bathroom, Gordon joined forces with Kramer to aid with his traps. Now, the issue with this twist isn't its pure existence. I mean, fans had long theorized and even hoped to see Gordon revealed as Jigsaw's ultimate apprentice. It's rather the depiction of this twist in the final movie that stings. It's too quick, Gordon's characterization is so radically different, and it feels like fan service rather than a fully thought out development, and as a result, doesn't hit anywhere near as much as it needs to. Number 1, Allison, Halloween Ends. With the latest Halloween trilogy, director David Gordon Green used Michael Myers' return as a vehicle to explore themes of fear and trauma. The 2018 flick examined how the years of trauma affected Laurie and her family, while the follow-up, Halloween Kills, widened its reach to show how an entire community can be shaken by fear. Halloween Ends likewise continued this thematic trend and moved its critical lens to generational trauma. However, the ways in which it did so resulted in a tonal mess that was far from the epic showdown that fans were expecting. One of the more eyebrow-raising decisions involved Allison's character arc, in which she aligns herself romantically with Haddonfield's newest bogeyman, Corey. Now, the move was intended to make Corey more sympathetic, underscoring the question of whether he was always evil or if the town's treatment of him made him that way. The main issue with this subplot, though, is that it was completely out of character for Allison. Throughout the first two films, we see how close she is with her grandmother, and having her throw all of that away for someone she just met for the sake of a shoehorned bit of drama consequently undermined everything that they'd been through together. So, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are there any hero to villain turns in horror movie history that you think deserved a spot on here? Or do you actually like some of the ones I mentioned? Let me know, and while you're down there, if you could, please also give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to What Culture Horror for more lists like this on the regular. Even if you don't know, I've been Josh, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.